Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be checking out the 1923 French silent film, La Roue. This film had been mostly lost to time until 2019 when a hefty 6 hours and 56-minute cut of the film was restored. I'm going to watch that 6 hour and 56-minute cut of this movie. La Roue is directed by Abel Gance. Gance is a French director, perhaps best known for Napoleon, the super wide film, as well as J'accuse. He has been called the Victor Hugo of French cinema. With the runtime on this, I don't doubt it. So yeah, without further ado, let's check out La Roue, or The Wheel. And before we get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. Oh. 27. Oh, Jesus. Ooh, that's cool. C'est vrai on Mars. As I say in one of my other videos, I think film has kind of a psychic connection to trains as a mode of transportation, that they are kind of not necessarily parallel technologies, but like cousins, presages of a new era, a new epoch. And so from train entering the station on down, to the general, to Hands of Orlac, film will always have an intense relationship with trains. I think in this pause, I obviously can't be sure, but I think in 1923, showing this the effects of this post-traumatic state that the engineer or the attendant is in, I think perhaps Gance is perhaps evoking, perhaps conjuring the remnants of World War I, of this new and as a compounding metaphor to it, this new technological age, this age of wonders and of terrors far beyond the scope of human imagination, that these machines, this industrialization, has created wonders in the form of transportation, but horrors in the form of ecological impact, of collisions, of explosions that are far beyond the scope of normal human scale. And making this in the wake of the First World War, of the Great War, the war to end all wars. I'm sure there are connections that can be made. The damage upon the human psyche that this scale has. I love the idea of somebody on TikTok or something watching this and saying that Abel Gance is pretentious. I imagine there's going to be some social influencer of the next century who will look back at Michael Bay utilizing the conventions of his time to describe the story that he feels internally as pretentious, just because it doesn't fit into the modern tastes. I love that intrusion of the actual shot onto the super titles, the title cards. 24601. And again, in this brief section, showing the human body vying against the machine, the technological, the iron, and industrial. And again, tying the innocent with the organic, with the rose bush. Oh, that's sweet, I guess. Maybe check to see if her parents are still around first, but for the purposes of narrative, streamlining it in a 7-hour-long movie. Oh, beautiful. Can't exactly say it's in the dead of night, but it's beautiful. Wow. The underlighting is so effective. Scorsese! And you can kind of see Gance in conversation with Eisenstein, a kind of format of parallel editing, drawing kind of emotional, or if not thematic, connections between images. It's actually a really cool sequence. It actually is kind of like Killers of the Flower Moon, kind of contrasting this frenzied rescue search with the like dreaming, peaceful child. This like moment of these two like extremes of humanity, and remembering that like one is actually birthed from the other, that there is like salvation at the end of terror, and there is terror that will newly await salvation. The wheel turn, turn, turn. Ooh, who's hyped? Who's hyped? I'm hyped. I was gonna say that this had some Hugo-ish tendencies, but I didn't want to just like obviously compare one French artist to another French artist. Give it to me. Give me that huge, huge shot. Give me that. Just keep pulling back for a huge, huge reveal. Yes, Gance! Gance, come on! You can keep going! And again, this is something that's touched on in Babylon of all things, but the lack of more sophisticated systems of sound systems allowed for filmmakers in the silent era to kind of like take their cameras out into the world and into more complex setups, and you got to capture more movement, more setups, more on location shots, a lot more kind of like intrigue, a lot more sophistication. Sisif isn't doing too well, I guess. Oh, splendid power of the train. Don't get me wrong. There are certainly filmmakers who, you know, relate heavily to the car, some perhaps to the motorcycle, some to bicycles, some even to boats and to planes, but for me, the train holds a special place in cinematographic language. Oh, beautiful boy. The fate of every loving but suffering film dad is that he'll have an artistic son. Oh God, tomboy AF. Oh, Norma. Yes, please, Norma. Yes. In true French fashion, is this going to be another incest narrative? We've covered this on the channel previously, a little bit with Demi. Law of Desire has it a little bit. We cover the whole breadth of human experience on this channel, I suppose. But I'm wondering if this is going to be an instance where, because it just keeps on reinforcing that Elie thinks that Norma is his sister. I do wonder if when they discover that they're not actually related by blood, if they're going to consummate decades of feelings that they've had for each other, which I think is very strange, but it is very early 20th century French, I guess, too. Or European. Do not get into a fight and then look longingly into each other's eyes. I won't be able to stand it. Too much Simba and Nala shit going on. No, that is exactly what they're doing. Do not end up on the bed. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. As though this is one of those this is one of those, I don't know what to call it, kind of like trappings of the conventions of silent film that like don't really make sense when you remove it from its silent film context. That in this instance, she can't see that the train is heading towards her, but in real life, Where there's sound, she'd be able to hear it, obviously. I do not like these POV shots between the two of them. Gance would know it, but that would look like a genre of videos in the 21st century. What's at 6? Duty first. I love that we get this, even in these intervening 15 years, this is just a high watermark of quality that Sisif possesses, that he cares about the trades, he cares about maintenance, he cares about duty. That the operations have primacy above all other things. Is he gonna fight his own son? Because his own son's gonna fall in love with his adopted daughter? Not knowing that his life is funded by all of this? Oh my god, his title cards are in the different typeface. That's hilarious. Ew, don't say that out loud! Elie. 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 We also kind of see something that is reflected in Les Miserables as well, that the suffering and the discord of older generations that can't be resolved in their times will be resolved, or will be at least channeled or addressed by newer generations. It's a beautiful use of background imagery in this. Still speaking formally. Yeah, girl, just go for it. Come on. You can't be eating bread and water for the rest of your life. Sisif, maybe you should tell them the truth. Ew. Ew. So he's like had an idea of this. Oh, he's stricken by madness to try and, like, preserve her chastity amongst all of these men. Well, he can't be a winner in all. Beautiful transition. Beautiful silent movie acting transition. To go from the mad to the sane and to the repentant. I think one of the eerie things about, and cool things about the eyes that film has highlighted for me, is that, like, it has clarity that the rest of the body doesn't have. The rest of the body can be soiled, it can age, it can wrinkle, and the eyes are the only thing, barring a few spectacular cases, that are, like, preserved in any age, in any disposition. The eyes retain their, like, focus, their clarity, and I could see why unblemished they would be an aspect of the human face, of the human feature that throughout history you would glean onto, that you would assign import to. While I don't totally get the Sisif character, I, like, really feel for his plight. Just this man trying his best to raise his teenage children, still trying his best to carry this load every single day. Truly a beast of burden. Maybe his kids should get a fucking job. wonder if this is like a detail to do with her puberty, or she's like long past her puberty, her pubescence, but that these are the same like clothing that she's worn her entire life, but she's like literally grown out of them, and her father kind of like unable to see her as the like woman she is now, and only sees her as like the youth, the child that he raised, is kind of like unable to reconcile that she's grown into this woman with her own kind of independent needs and her own developing sexuality, and that's kind of like characterized by the same rags or the same dress that she's worn over the years that's now showing off too much of her legs. Oh god, that's what my hair looks like in the morning. The age of innocence. Oh, don't say it. No. I already thought I went far enough with the brother. Oh, damn. I don't want to know, man. There's some things you should just keep private. Dude, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Sisif, what the fuck? I didn't know he was gonna judge Turpin this shit. Sisif, you've got... ooh, that's not a good development at all. That is not a good development at all. Damn, man. You're getting jealous watching your adopted daughter get sexually aroused by your son. It's, okay. This family unit is much more complicated than I thought it was initially. Ah, damn. Ah, damn, this is not good. I really don't know what to do in this situation. I guess he'll just have to go and die. It's kind of calcified into this really, or it is heightened into this really disturbing state now where, yeah, it's easier for him to believe that he wants to have sex with his daughter rather than give her up. He's like, what the fuck did I get myself into and how can I exploit it? Oh my god. Only a manager, only an industrialist would see a situation that fucked up and think, how can I benefit from this? There are no good solutions in this. The Sisif solution, the Hersan solution, and the Elie solution. They all seem like bad outcomes. The Elie one, only because there's no way he's going to make that far-ish. I mean, if it's an optimistic movie, maybe he will or whatever, but... Yeesh! 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 Yo, man, that wheel just keeps on turning. God! Christ! Okay, oh, I need to get some water. Uh-oh. I'm getting the sense that maybe from this title that Sisif's story will end in this second part. Just beautiful fidelity, the detailing in the images. I think there's such a specific beauty to watching black and white films that your eyes only have to see relationships in terms of gradients of values, as opposed to trying to tell color stories and hues and stuff like that. I'm really bad with kind of color relationships, so I find black and white movies really, really easy and kind of digestible to watch. Like, look how unencumbered the relationships you can see in these images are. The relationship between fabrics and metals, technology, and these chasms, these pockets of darkness. It all seems kind of like lifted in the neutrality of black and white. Can't even see death. Nothing but a beast. Ugh. He is, Daisu. Miserable little old boy character. Oh, oui, oh no. Oh, suis fatigué. Papa, no, Papa. It's a beautiful transition between those three shots, just illustrating the same idea of Norma, but capturing like three different instances of it, three different essences. It really takes the idea of like a close-up or a pause, and it kind of like circumnavigates the idea that you have to have something different happening within a shot, within actors like acting beats, or within the composition to reinforce the emotion of it. It's kind of, it reminds me a bit of not Scorsese. It reminds me a bit of Spike Lee when he does like the triple shot reinforcement. He'll do a cut that like plays out the same shot over and over again. To kind of re-emphasize the moment as a moment of punctuation. And this is kind of like a similar idea of where this shot, this moment in her life has import, and so we're going to linger on it, but we're going to illustrate that we're lingering on it. This is an important moment for the audience to digest, and that can't really solely be communicated by having a lengthy shot. So you achieve it in the editing, but you achieve it in a way that it's not overly distracting. You're not doing different setups or anything. It's just saying, look at this moment, look at it again, look at it again. I think it's a very self-assured way of delivering this moment. Bastard. Just a complete bastard. Jamais. Jamais. Implacable. Not really setting it on the right line spacing, but whatever. Ah, I see. He's using it as leverage, as of course he would. I mean, I didn't think of that because I don't think the way a fucking industrialist would think, but that is smart, I guess. He truly is a beast. I forgot if the 2020 required 45 seconds or 85 seconds. 45 or 85. But another little parallel. That he lives in the shadow of this accident, that his life is always teetering on the edge of catastrophe, as reminded by this one singular, the important instance in his past of a catastrophe that has both shaped his life and ruined his life. They really love backlighting Norma. Puisque tu l'aimes. Ah! God. The train and the human, such like powerful cohabiting symbols. The brutal, efficient modern world. The small, soulful, weak human world. God, how many horses does this guy have? I like these little reveals of lines. They're very rude. It's just so cool that they built this on the train tracks. Who allowed them? What a simple way to capture the continuous flow of the train tracks. Just this encroaching modernity, brutality, technology, and industry. The one oath he swore he'd never break. His duty to the rail, he's now breaking for his obsession, and in endangering her life again as it was in danger the first time of their encounter. Yeesh. Sisif is not well. I actually wonder if this was achieved, like, with the vibrations of the train, or if they were manipulating it to create these, like, this greater sense of vibration, this greater sense of agitation that the train is speeding along. Cutting is so well done for such an early film. It's like a Nolan film. Jesus. It's like Inception, how tightly it manages to thread these like three lines. The line of Norma, the line of Sisif, and the line of the train kind of like going off the tracks. Oh, the accusation in his eyes. I really do like Severin Mouse's performance. It's a shame that he was sick during this production and ended up dying soon after. I think he could have been a gift to the silent film world. Seul désormais, avec son indicible chagrin. Maybe it'll turn into a Titan. Maybe it's precursor to Titan as well. He's gonna fuck this trade. Oh, that's so gorgeous. For such a disturbing desire, but it's so gorgeous. It really speaks to the enormity and the kind of like, I don't know, brutality of his desire. I don't disagree with that. I just think it's weird that he's using the train as like a horcrux for his feelings for his adopted daughter. Oh, la fille désolée. God, it's so powerful, but it's getting you so deeply entrenched in a like a very, very strange kind of love. Opening up a whole can of worms, sonny. You don't want to go get into this. Just a lovely, weird-ass family. Just a lovely, weird-ass Michael Bluth having family. George Michael and maybe fucking having family. Horrible. Genuinely horrible. You know, you are also having these same thoughts. I'm a bit conflicted, because I am on your side, Elie. But Elie, you're also, like, a whimpering hypocrite. Norma. Dans la lue verte. Awesome. An oft-repeated phrase in this, but I do like the metaphor of this. The miracle of the rose on the rail. Yep, and so Elie's drinking begins. This is the unfortunate position that Sisif has taken as a father, that he's taken as a guardian, that despite himself, his troubles are not his own, that he wishes to project this world where he absorbs like the weight and the sins of the world, and he endures them alone and doesn't like interact with other people carrying those sins, but he does. He doesn't realize that his alcoholism, his monstrosities, his sins, his thoughts kind of like infect his relationships, his ability to kind of relate to his daughter Norma, to relate to his son Elie, even beyond just like his obsession with Norma, his inability to speak to her, to kind of have a mutual relationship with her, leads to her own desolation, her own despair. He refuses to accept money for her that could improve Elie's condition. It's a beast of. It's a very, very fascinating characterization Sisif has of this like beast of burden. Who it's a your dad kind of characterization. It's somebody who carries the weight of the world on him, and he thinks he has to do it alone. And by carrying that weight on his own, he alienates everybody that he loves and eventually pushes them away too far and eventually entrenches in them the same sins that he carries in his own heart. It's, oh, wow. Seeing this in a 1923 work, ooh, speaks right to 2024. Ooh. It's a weird thought to have, but as in the case of Oedipus Rex, as in the case with a lot of Western fiction, the Western canon, a lot of issues could be solved by strong, silent men kind of talking out what they're thinking and feeling to the people around them. Is absolutely what is necessary. But some men would rather have themselves killed by a train than talk to their families. Man, who'd have thought characters raised by a father who doesn't speak any of his feelings would have a hard time conveying their emotions? And so Sisif will meet his end on the rail as foretold. Maybe he'll be blinded like Oedipus! Like Oedipus! Every single time I think I've got a handle on how... Ooh, we're going to do a wipe. How big the scope of the movie is going to be. Obviously, it's 7 hours, but it keeps on widening and deepening. I think it'll trace its way back to Hugo, then it goes all the way back to Oedipus. And you know, Oedipus Rex, well, maybe not Oedipus Rex, but Oedipus Ecalinus is about a man's relationship with his daughter. Not Jacobin. My man, you cannot operate it, though. Why would you tell him this? I guess you had no choice. Norma would have been destroyed, but... Oh my god. Operatic, the degree to which these characters will push for the things that they need at their own personal peril. It is operatic in its scope. Jamais, jamais. Girl does not know what the hell is going on. Just a bunch of dudes and their secrets. It's cool that they managed to shoot all these scenes at like the exact same time of day, just to have the sun in the same position to cast this like kind of like side lighting on them. This is also what I imagine it feels like to be a girl, growing up in a kind of like a patriarchal family. Growing up in a mostly male family, at a certain point you grow into an age where your brothers, your father can't relate to you anymore. And in a slight way, you're like shunned. You're like barred from participating in the same activities. I mean, that's not like a mandate, that's not necessary, it's not all families, but it's a dynamic that seems to rear its ugly head in some family dynamics. There's a weird thing that happens in fathers' brains when their daughters reach an age of like sexuality, of independence. Oh. So I'll destroy you with my own hands. Oh. Oh. I love his shadow streaming through the smoke. And the roses. I mean, those aren't roses, but you know, you get the metaphor. I mean, it really does feel in some ways very 21st century that these emotions towards other human beings has been like has been channeled into this machinery, this cold metallic carapace. That these intensities of human emotion that can't be expressed to each other has been like reduced down and metastasized and brutally and unwieldingly transformed into this love, this relationship, this idolatry given to a machine. Yeah, a weird kind of like disquieting exchange where he's feeling the same things as the passerbys at the funeral. If anything, his intensity of emotion is shown to be more extreme than theirs, if only because like he's our principal character, he's our way into this world, and so we feel his emotions more deeply than we feel those of the funeral congregation. But it is this strange kind of exchange where the funeral mourners are mourning an actual person, an actual relationship, an actual loss, and Sisif's loss is real. It is, at the end of the day, it's to a love object. It is to like a fetish object, something that he has placed enormous emotional and spiritual significance in, because he is unable to express these relationships, this devotion, these emotions to the actual people in his life. And so while it's a moment for us to really relate to and kind of inhabit the depth of emotion that Sisif feels, it is also, whether the film is expressing it or not, I think a moment to reflect that he has this kind of chimeric relationship with machinery at the expense, or like purposely, because he shortchanges his relationship with the people around him who love him. It's also kind of cool to see. I mean, there are plenty of examples that would run contrary to this. I'm thinking of Hands of Orlok specifically, but because this is a silent film era, because there's not dialogue written, that shot setups are actually a lot shorter than maybe like studio films of the 50s would be in comparison. That in some ways, if you get far enough back to silent films, far enough back in the history of silent films, their editing style will seem more closely reflective of modern day editing sensibilities than perhaps 40s or 50s studio dramas or studio movies would feel. Ooh, the wisps of smoke. He has to steal the pendant back. Oh, that's a cool shot. End of the Deuxième Epoque. The wheel turns. Cool. Use the bathroom. I actually do wonder if we're going to get the opportunity to see Elie as a kind of like a POV character in the Game of Thrones sense, a POV character, because I think a lot of the film has put a lot of import into the perspectives, into the inner lives of both Sisif and Norma. And while I don't necessarily think it'd be a wasted opportunity to forego Elie's perspective, because I do think Elie's perspective is a bit simplistic in comparison. They could develop on the like drinking like his father aspect. We'll see how it goes, but I do think that there is like value in like observing these three as a triumvirate, seeing how their stories kind of like intersect and like thematically relate to each other. At the same time, like the film begins with Sisif and with Norma, so I do see like value in just like primatizing their characterizations, and they are essentially more interesting characters than Elie, because I think all three like kind of have qualities of selfishness and selflessness, but on the spectrum, oddly enough, Elie is like the most like selfish or the most like self-concerned, and he like rarely kind of like extends himself out into like the feelings or concerns of the other characters, except where like it interests him, because like, you know, he loves Norma and Norma loves him, but like his love for Norma doesn't really extend past like his actual love for her, his attraction to her. I don't think he like actually like thinks about how she feels about him beyond like the satisfaction of her reciprocating the same feelings. And his feelings towards his father, I it's understandable because he's like 18 or 19 at this point, and it's like a time of discord in the family. Like he views his father with like suspicion and contempt, and there's not a lot of like duty or care that is exhibited much more complexly in Norma for Sisif. And so like Sisif or Norma actually kind of falls on the too selfless kind of end of this spectrum, which I think is like why I would want her character to take on more of her earlier characteristics. She's like too selfless on the behalf of Sisif, too selfless on the behalf of Elie, and I would like her to like have her own joys, her own secrets, her own desires somehow exhibited in the film. But I do also understand that it's a convention of the era that she would be like the waif for the damsel, and there is a degree of complexity in that characterization, and it's fun to watch, but it's just like I would like her to be a bit more on the selfish side. And I think, like, obviously Sisif has the most complex story in terms of melding and channeling the selfish and the selfless, the ways that he tries to be, in his head, a selfless individual, tries to give as much or to his children as possible, and how that kind of like warps his heart. It makes him mean, it makes him aggressive, it makes him self-destructive, and that further kind of like isolates him from his children and kind of destroys their relationship. And it's you know, it's kind of like hatred or contempt or resentment born out of love. It is a very, very complex, tragic. It is a very tragic road to self-destruction that we're seeing, born out of some sort of feeling of obligation or selflessness. And he could do with like just expressing his emotions a bit more, living outside of his bubble a little bit more. Yeah, it's a wonderful characterization of Sisif. Yeah, I'd like to see if they take Elie in a more dynamic direction, but I also would be fine with just Sisif and Norma. So yeah, bathroom break, and then let's get on to the third epic. Epoch. Okay, starting part 3, starting 3, 2, 1, start. Troisième époque. Oh, good. All these titles are really encouraging. I wonder in what format this was meant to be watched, because that's actually something that's an interesting aspect of this, whether this was meant to be watched in segments, or if, due to its length, it presumed that an audience would kind of be coming in and out, because I don't know how like theaters or Nickelodeons were structured back in these days. Bien donc, mes destins. Yeah, boy. It's almost structured like La Grande Illusion. He's been like exiled to the Alps. If you want to see a fun, like single traveler railroad film, I'm not sure I could quite call it a train film, but railroad film, you should watch the 1970 something film The Railroader, starring Buster Keaton in his last role, done for the Canadian government, I believe. But basically, Buster Keaton, for some reason, as an Englishman, sees an ad for the Canadian Rail and decides to swim to the east coast of Canada and take the rail all the way to the west coast. That's not the way to treat your new train. Calling it a slope. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Not a Norma 3! He really is. What have you done now, Elie? Oh no, this is Day or so. Damn! Everybody's heart has turned cold over the course of this. It's an interesting convention of storytelling of this time, I suppose. It's truth now, I guess. But now we put such a premium on like interior psychology and characters making choices that bring about their fates one way or the other. And this is from a larger, more novel-based time of storytelling where there's like a largesse, there's like a lot of different acts or a lot of different actions that characters take or events that happen to them, and it's almost like characters are allowed to be more passive in these because we see the change of their characters gradually over a long course of time and responding to many different kind of like historical events, as opposed to it being pushed to such an extreme of what their drives and their motivations are, in the vein of like kind of like a compressed tragedy, like Greek tragedy or an Aristotelian unity of ideas. Like this is the kind of characterization of Hugo or Balzac or Zola. He really is a beast, just such a dumb beast. Truly. One of the great archetypes of storytelling, of cinema. Just so pitiable. I've never seen something so beautiful. Truly God's loneliest creature. Oh my god, Elie, look up! It's Norma come to ruin your life again!
Is a literary device and
Wow, 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 wow. Yes, tremendous. How did he know? I know, me too. Some days are just like that. Is he writing that in the violin? Yeah. That's great. Probably should have written that face down. That's just itching to be discovered. Never cursed. Oh, damn. Hersan's gonna discover the note before Norma ever does. Ooh, Hersan's tie is awesome, though. That's a nice knit tie. But I guess he already knows the truth. There's just too many secrets rolling around in this group of people. It's an awesome tie. God. God, that's so gorgeous. While in my opinion, the plot has slowed down in the second half, the changes in scenery are really welcome. New environments, new kind of ways of viewing our characters, kind of like processing their torments. It kind of reminds me of the second half of Two English Girls, where the plot actually slows down a bit in kind of, in my opinion, Truffaut fashion, but different changes in scenery, different like adjustments to like time and temperature allow for the shifts in plot to happen more slowly, more gradually. It's an interesting way to pause. It's an interesting way to kind of address the kind of like concerns of a screenplay or a script kind of like sagging on its own weight. I mean, I think this is kind of, again, the trappings and the limitations of wanting to do something that follows like an Aristotelian unity of action, of time, and of place, that if you put so much effort into making a script as dramatic as possible, to have as much fury and fur as possible, furor as possible, you kind of have to like disperse the drama in a steady stream throughout, and the only way to like adjust it is to escalate it, and so you're trapped on these train tracks and you have to keep on following it. That's why it's like a unity of time and place and action. It's to like condense it in its rawest form. But actually, if you take filmmaking, storytelling from different points of attack, like in this case following more of a novel structure, you can actually dilute the action, or you can dilute characters' decision making with just changes in scenery and with just changes in time and distance and proximity to each other, and that actually creates a different relationship with them, that you don't always have to turn to the ways that they interact with each other and the ways that they exchange or abrade or bristle up against each other, like scratch against each other and are abrasive to one another. And I think it's like actually a welcome dynamic. And while it can be a little bit like saggy or a little bit anathema or antithetical to the popular trends in script writing these days, I think it allows for different ways of like transforming the characters or understanding the characters. Yeah, I think this movie, for its length and for its grandiosity, is kind of like illustrating to me some of the principles of the novel approach to storytelling, kind of like taking temporal root in the structure of this film. Tu es à moi, tu es à moi. I really, really hate how low the character of Norma has been reduced. Not that she's done anything wrong, but she's just become the receptacle of desire for these three men. It's just so wretched. There was so much potential in her character, previous to now. That's so gorgeous, but please do something, Elie. I just had to watch this man rape his wife. And somehow, the worst thing is how it affected me. Elie. Jesus Christ, Elie. Ugh. He did discover the note. Such a note-passing fucking family. Nobody can just say something to each other. He's like, this fucking family of incest, I've really got in too deep. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Just shoot him. Shoot him dead. Elie's point of view does not matter for this movie. But steal the patent for his varnish. Ah, resplendent. To the scale of the Lion King. To the scale of House of Flying Daggers. Oh, insane. Absolutely insane. Calvalel. Again, the parallel editing is so effective. It's so strange to see a technique that Christopher Nolan is using in 2010 and 2023 utilized so effectively and almost to the same spirit in 1923. It's almost something that can only occur in film. There are analogs done in music and in painting, but there's just such an effectiveness to the parallelism, the use of editing that film has to create connective tissue between disparate events. Oh no. The trail of blood, that's so effective. Blood splattering on the snow. Who would imagine you would be seeing this in a 1923 movie? Ah, it's such a rich tapestry this film has. I can't even... Oh, snap! Such a good shot. This is how men fight. Oh! Jesus, this movie really does have everything. See, I would use that at a distance. Why pull out the gun just to have yourself be disarmed? Ooh, even the blood coming out of the mouth. I don't even know when that convention was solidified, but again, it's very, very cool to see that in 1923. Well, that scene looks a little bit different. It looks like something else might be going on. He's a fucking artist. He'll never be able to pull himself back up. Oh, this bastard! Jesus Christ! I really did not think a subplot involving Elie would go this full on. It's just such a wide range of tones, of actions displayed in this movie. Good for you, Elie. I didn't think you'd hang on. Oh, that's so cool. Oh no! Just in time to watch your brother fall to his death. The last thing he thought of was you, and the rose descends with him. Oh, she's broken. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Everything's ruined. Everything's ruined forever. Gance, the artists he takes inspiration from, they really don't pull their punches in terms of dramatic punishment for their characters. She doesn't actually know that. You haven't explained any of this to her, but... This is what happens when you keep your children in the dark. They really are so pitiful. All of them are so pitiful. Jesus. Nobody's doing this to them anymore. It's just them. It's just them caught up in this wheel, this cycle. They just cannot extricate themselves from it. This place of death. Oh, I didn't even see that. It's become a torture wheel. God. And that's capturing the same ending as episode 2. I actually wonder how episode 1 ended. What was the last shot? Because the last shot of episode 2 was Jesus Christ, was Sisif walking down the tracks to his own fate, and now it's Norma walking down the mountain to hers. Holy hell. Damn. Oh. Yeah, I mean, like, in terms of telling a story of the same kind of dramatic weight as Hugo, as Sophocles, Gance is not pulling any punches. Cool. I'm gonna go refill my water bottle and then let's start part 4. Damn. Catria book. Okay. That sounds a little bit more hopeful. It doesn't seem to be going too well. I really like these white irises now. It's conveying the mountains, of course, but also just like, I don't know, this renewed desolation. Symphony of White, perhaps. I'm really beginning to appreciate more the connections with Oedipus, not just Oedipus Rex, but like the Oedipus cycle. Obviously, Sisif is a kind of a stand-in for Oedipus and like the beaten creature that he becomes, the overlying story of incest or desire towards incest, and the partial blinding that he suffers, all kind of like run parallel or like are transformations or adaptations of the Oedipus myth, and this passage of him at like Mont Blanc is like can be seen as his exile after leaving Thebes, right? This could be seen as his time at Colonus. Norma could be seen as a stand-in for Antigone, and Norma 3, and Elie could be seen as a stand-in for like Polynices, I suppose. And so that makes sense that the final act would resolve between Oedipus and Antigone. Although Oedipus dies in Oedipus and Colonus, it doesn't matter. Don't ask. Please don't ask. Oh, jeez. Just don't press the issue any further. years after the snow is thawed. Jesus Christ. I wonder if Norma will have to bury Elie in the same way that Antigone's tried to bury Polynices. I'm not laughing because it's funny. Obviously, these stories aren't funny. Cool use of the negative. Severin Mars's performances so electric. It's really hard to maintain concentration or care for a character over the course of 7 hours, but I think he manages to convey a character that's doesn't fall into too many extremes. Obviously he lives an extreme life, but in terms of his characterization and the way we kind of follow this beast, it's like this. It's an extreme slope, but then it gradually kind of levels off, or the descent isn't as extreme, and because it isn't so shocking, it isn't so abrasive how much he falls, we're allowed to there's space to care for him on his descent, to really identify him as a suffering creature as opposed to something that's outside of the bounds of human normalcy. His pain is not just the pain of loss, of tragedy, of his incestuous desires, but the daily pains of age, of withering, of physical defect. All these different aspects compound in a character that I don't know. For me, it reminds me of my parents. It really is the full breadth of human suffering and aging and loss of faculties, but portrayed in a gentle, lengthy way, so that you can sit with it and grow to accept it and grow to mourn it, as opposed to the shock and terror of a more concentrated tragedy. It's it is such a weird kind of terror, but also compassion of the film's tone, that it manages to take something so large, so shocking, so egregious as incest, of death of a child, death of a son, death of a brother, and yet still manages to contrast those overwhelming tragedies with the kind of day-to-day tragedies of life, and of the body's decay, of the mind's decay. And I don't think it really necessarily provides an answer as to which is better, which is worse, because I don't think that's really the point of the film. But I think the film does a really good job of presenting those two extremes, the kind of active terrors and the passive terrors, and combines them. I really don't think films achieve this effect so often, because film as a concentrated medium wishes to express the extreme and the focused and the dramatic as much as it can in order to hook its audience. But in this case, I really think there's a beautiful not only just dichotomy, but a beautiful mixture of these two elements as presented through the character of Sisif. It's a lot to handle. You really, as a viewer who's kind of been conditioned by the dramatic or the fantastical, you keep on anticipating, you wait out for all these miracles to occur, and perhaps a miracle may occur, or a slight miracle may occur, but kind of in the vein of Hugo or of Hersan, we have to confront reality to a certain degree. Even if our thoughts or our prayers are philosophical, the realities of these characters is to accept their burden. I keep expecting for his eyes to recover, for some some miracle to occur. But the movie is like training you to like gently guiding you to understand that that is not the life of these characters, and that is not our lives. And if we want miracles, miracles will have to occur between human beings. They can't be prayers answered by the gods. They can't be sudden technical advances or miraculous or physical recoveries. The body falters. God, Sisif. Oh, God. I hate to like psychologize or duty first. The wheel has to keep turning. I hate to like psychologize or to like bring little snippets of real life into this, but apparently over the course of filming Severin and Mars, Mars was sick, and he would die shortly after the filming had completed on this. And while I can't say he's like carrying the specter of death in this performance, I think it's carrying something extra to it. This like flagging of the human spirit. The human spirit is immortal. It carries on into eternity, but is contained in a human body, and the human body fails. In some ways, it like it reminds me of the performance in Diary of a Country Priest. Jesus, the Symphony of Snow. Oh, it's heartrending. Oh. When you think about where they started and where they are now, the amount of love that was shared in this family, can't even really say that any singular participant, any singular member of this family did something so tremendously wrong, so much to warrant this punishment they're all enduring. I'm not one to say, like, you know, call your family or call your parents and whatever, but give compassion to your loved ones, I guess. Communicate with them. Don't let us all just die alone in empty rooms. God. It's like that shot in The Virgin Spring where Max von Sydow has to like conquer nature to prepare himself for this great task of vengeance. And here Sisif cannot conquer nature, nor was it ever possible to, but he can endure. If he has any quality, his greatest and his most tragic is that he can endure. Yeah, at times a hugely demanding, physically demanding performance from Severin and Mars. It's wretched. So wretched. Family. Truly the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. Oh. Even at our bleakest, there's still someone who will serve us, someone who will stay at our side. And like, it is kind of our blindness that disguises from us the truth that they will help us, and the people we need in our lives will help us. Oh my god, are we gonna get a King Lear? Are we gonna get a Gloucester? I love the use of snow in the third and fourth sections as like we gradually retreat away from society. It just becomes more elemental, it becomes more torrential and hideous, and further kind of like reveals the animalism, the furthest reaches of human experience. Like a ghost, she returns. I don't even know if movies in the 21st century are capable of telling stories like these. If actors are capable of rendering performances like these. They're great performances, great tragedies, but in terms of the space afforded to the performers, to the creatives, this horrible, horrible performance, this wretched performance by Severin Mars, by Ivy Close, but it's beautiful in that wretchedness. It's revelatory. This movie's not like a power fantasy for anybody. There's no wish fulfillment in this, but the audience's humanity is widened by watching this. She's gonna play the actual dog for him. Ooh. Oh, we're getting a Chunky Express. Or an Amelie. Norma, the first Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Is that goat's fur? That fucking sucks. He killed that goat. Damn. Every single time you're like, yeah, I kind of sympathize for Sisif. You're like, not even that he's done something wrong, but it's just like, your behavior's a little strange. Truly an unrepentant monster. He doesn't even know the harm he causes. Just such a dad. I also really, really, really love this devotion that Norma has for Sisif after the discovery of that he is not her biological father. That in the scope of things, that's like has been one of the least important things to her, even though it's like this huge revelation that has impacted so many of them in very, very bad ways. Ultimately, she is his daughter. Yes, that is a glaring flaw in your character. But really, it's just your kids taking the first step and taking care of you. Young people will never know the sacrifices their elders made for them, and old people will never, never know the sacrifices, the devotionals children have made for them. Absolutely never. And he doesn't know it, but he gets to keep vigil on his daughter now, as he did in the past, for different reasons. Hopefully for different reasons. Alright, just don't get weird about it, Sisif. Just don't get weird about it. Just don't get weird about it, Sisif. The more terrible he is as a character, the more I'm like, that is a father. Poupée blonde. They gotta find this body, they gotta bury this boy, they gotta live happily ever after, I guess. But that text came way too early, so something terrible is gonna happen, I'm guessing. I don't know what else could happen to them. She could die, I guess. He could die. I don't know if that'd be tragic, but That'd definitely be an ending. How would those shadows even work? That's one of those things, it just doesn't make literal sense. It's just like evocative and stuff, but you know, that shadow play would travel that far. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know what kind of dark turn this could take. Oh, it's the train. And I don't know if this was necessarily presaging this, but the earlier scene of his revelation that he'd be joined forever with Norma, signified by her recreating the crash. Something similar maybe being presaged here, where he's going to play with the train and another crash or another accident's going to happen. I guess I prefer this ending to Norma dying. It's just his time. Doucement. Is that a little tear that's been highlighted? I didn't even realize that is a... Holy shit. I really didn't realize that's a great continuation of the motif of the wheel. I didn't even realize that their dancing in a circle is meant to replicate the wheel turning. Whoa. Whiteout ending. Cool. Jesus. Oh, wow. That was so much. That was so much. Lovely. Do you really want closing thoughts on this? I think the film kind of speaks for itself. Yeah, I look... You think that the longevity of it would be a chore, but I think longevity kind of like obviously enhances it. Obviously, that's something that like Gance is probably anticipating. The usage of time as not only just spectacle, but also like to illuminate the sensations of like the length and drudgery of life and the endurance needed to continue on, and eventually giving way to the soft compassion or revelation, giving away and finally letting go. As much as like, as I said earlier, as much as the fortitude, the strength of Sisif is his endurance, it's also his grace failing, and so for him to finally relent is a final act of peace for him. Yeah, I really liked how the length and format of the movie allows for time to be utilized differently from the more dramatic arcs of more concentrated film. I don't really know what the intended viewing experience for this would have been back in 1923, but it's a certain kind of daring of a filmmaker to like trust that his audience will be committed for a full emotional, spiritual, historical journey for a movie's characters, the full depth of their lives, their tribulations, and their like small victories. Yeah, towering work, really. A kind of like, I don't know, like a Call Your Father kind of work, a Raging Bull kind of work, an old boy kind of work, just like a useless, wretched worm. Not useless, but somebody who is a bother, a terror to everybody in his life, but rather that we show him compassion than allow him to suffer in silence. Something to think about, I guess. Yeah, something to think about. That was Roue. What a journey. I don't know where you could watch this. Maybe it's on YouTube. I'll let you know if it's on YouTube. Let me know what you think of it. What an immense work. I think the most gratifying, the most satisfying of the like long format works I've seen on this channel so far. Imminently watchable, very, very easy to process in comparison to La Flor, certainly, and certainly aspects of Chatantango. I guess Scenes from a Marriage had its own like eccentricities, but it's like a TV. I don't know. It is like eminently watchable in the same way La Roue is, and some aspects of Fanny and Alexander. Yeah. I can't really do this long movie series often, but when I get the opportunity, it really provides a different lens by which to view film as a medium. I kind of want to continue this on, and I'm like afraid to say what my next project will be if I do. But I want to let you know that I am interested in pursuing this with another subject that might actually be longer than this. We'll see. Let me know what you think of Roue. In the meantime, please, if you've gotten this far, click the like button, leave a comment, force this thing up the algorithms, gizzard. Let me know if you have any other recommendations of films you'd like me to watch. And until next time, keep watching good movies.